are so many cute little small finds at the VMFA in Richmond. This is a statue of an Icheunom. Now, if you're like me, you may have never heard of the word Icheunom, but an Icheunom is an alternate name for an Egyptian mongoose. It is native to coastal regions of the Mediterranean Sea between North Africa and Turkey. The Icheunom has been a sacred animal since the Middle Kingdom, sometimes identified with the god Horus, Re, or even Mafdet, though Mafdet is actually the only one that is ever depicted as a mongoose itself. What is odd is that the VMFA had previously identified this as an otter, which is not the same thing as an Egyptian mongoose or an Icheunom. And it appears that the Metropolitan Museum of Art also has a statue that they are identifying as an otter, and this is an ancient Egyptian statue, just to be specific. And when you really look into it, otters are not indigenous to Egypt. So why are these huge institutions mixing up a Icheunom / mongoose with an otter? Now, I was not the first person to discover this problem because I found an article called Otter or Mongoose? Chewing Over the Evidence in Wall Scenes, and I read this article so that we can solve this problem together. This was written by Linda Evans, who is an Australian Egyptologist who specializes in environmental history, exploring the relationship between humans and non-animals in the ancient world, and I actually read a ton of her work when I was doing my thesis on ancient Egyptian dogs. Egyptian mongooses and common genets, which is a genus of animals that include 17 species of small African carnivores. They are found in many marsh scenes from the 4th dynasty and on, very often in some form of this, where they are climbing into the marsh and attacking some poor bird. Now, when the color has been preserved, we can kind of see some differences between the mongooses and the genets. Mongooses are gray with a short muzzle and small flat ears, while the genets are spotted with a black and white tail, a longer snout, and pricked ears. Now, between the two, mongooses are very similar to otters, and although there are modern otters in Africa, there is very little ancient evidence to say that there were ancient otters. Dr. Evans looked at the way that the modern animals behave and then compared it to the actual images we see from these tombs. And what she discovered is that they have different ways of attacking their prey, and that can be another factor to figure out whether or not we are looking at mongooses or otters. So mongooses apparently attack their prey and then eat them head first, while otters actually digest their prey tail first and then discard the head. Things I just didn't need to know about otters or mongooses, honestly. So Evans is eventually able to look at all the different pieces of ancient Egyptian art where these animals are depicted and points out that although there is some archaeological evidence of a spotted neck otter in Upper Egypt, their behavior does not match the images that we have, and so that it most likely looks like we are talking about mongooses rather than otters here. Was that doing a way deeper dive than you ever expected about this tiny little statue? But now you can see a creature like this and you can know that if a museum has labeled it as an otter, they are incorrect, and it is probably an Egyptian mongoose.